If this picture looks kind of fake to you, I promise it's not because I tried to make it look all weird and artificial and photoshopped. This is how this picture looked on the morning I shot this. I didn't try and, like, this isn't an Instagram filter or some sort of like oversaturation. This is what it looked like when I was on the way to work and I turned around and I saw this sunrise, and I didn't try and embellish anything here when I edited this in Lightroom. I tried to tweak the colors just enough from the original, which was actually underexposed quite a bit, I think by maybe 1.5 or 2 stops. I didn't want to lose the highlights. And when you shoot a shot like this, it's easy to mess up the exposure. If you expose regularly without underexposing things, then these bright portions of the clouds will get super blown out and you can't recover them. So I underexposed the picture and then brought it up a little bit in post, but I didn't like color in a bunch of orange or anything. This is how it looked. An interesting thing about this photo, though, is I don't normally have a picture without any context. I'm a huge believer in context, and there is none. Where's the horizon? Where's an object for scale? What about some sort of sense of time? I mean, obviously it's a sunrise, but maybe it's a sunset. I mean, there's just not much information for the viewer to go on here. But kind of because of that, I think this photo worked out okay. This was it was just a sunrise. I was biking to work, and I look behind me, and when I get behind the Hobby Lobby here in town on the way I take to work, I turn around, and there's this amazing sunrise. I mean, I could hardly believe it. Had my camera, had my 50mm lens, and I took this shot, and I didn't Photoshop anything out. I did crop it a little bit. There was a tree on the, I think it was the bottom left of this, of the frame, that I cropped out, but I didn't edit anything out. And I kind of went back and forth about this sense of context. Normally, if I shoot a sunrise, I like there to be something in the foreground, but I purposely didn't have any in this particular, in this final composition here, because I kind of wanted to leave it open to the viewer's interpretation. What do you think of when you see this? It almost looks like the sky has been parted by this blue streak across, like it's been chopped by a knife. Maybe there's something else that comes to your mind, but I in removing any sense of place, like the trees that were just barely poking up in the foreground, I think it kind of lent an interesting element of, I don't know what you call it, but it allowed the viewer then to come up with their own interpretation. So I think this is kind of cool, and I see a lot of pictures of sunrises anytime there's one like this. People share them on Facebook, and it's fun to capture them, but it's never the same as seeing them in person. And obviously this is not the same at all as seeing it in person, but my goal was to capture just a little tiny sliver of what it looked like that morning. And in that regard, I think this picture works.